We have heard that nothing happens if we don't work together, and we have also heard how important this issue is for cities, because they are the heart center of this crisis and this issue. So this is why, in the spirit of this discussion, the next panel is very well timed. We're going to be having a roundtable of the Majors Alliance, and we're going to have Mar Jiménez, Commissioner for European Affairs of Barcelona, moderating. Big applause, please.
Okay. I hadn't prepared a speech, so let me improvise a little bit and explain that almost 1 year ago, a group of cities, at the beginning 3 cities, Barcelona, Paris, and Rome, we joined forces because we understood that the housing crisis was something that was a big concern, a big challenge for our citizens. So we joined forces, we started WhatsApping other cities, and we started with a group of 10 cities. Now we are 70 cities, and we were all together joining forces, addressing the European Union to ask for action. To ask for action because we understood that this was a problem for our citizens, the main problem actually, and it was a question of equality of opportunities. We all know that without a roof, how a student can have chances to progress in life, how a family can progress in life without a roof. And also it's about competitiveness. If we are not allowed to have key workers in our cities, if our companies, our startups are not able to find a roof for their workers, what happens to a city? It's only a city for tourism and so on. But also we understood that it was a big challenge for democracy and a big challenge for Europe. And we really welcome that President von der Leyen talk about housing, as Matthew said, just previously said, that this is something that concerns us. But we as cities understood that we need to push a lot, because it's not only about words, we need action, and we need it fast. And Irene mentioned that we have the MFF in 2 years, but 2 years will be too late, because our citizens now are facing the problem in our cities that they are not able to afford a rent in our cities, which is a big challenge for everyone. And not just for us, for our mayors, for the elections. It's a big challenge for the European project, because if Europe doesn't serve us, if the European project doesn't guarantee basic rights, where does the European dream stay? That's one of the problems. We understood that there's a market failure. We said that, okay, there's a problem of demand and supply. The demand doesn't meet the supply. But someday, listening to Irene said that demand, it's not just a demand, a market demand. We are talking about people. We are talking about persons that are not able to have a roof. So this is not just a normal market failure, in which all market failures of economy, you understand that the intervention of the public sector is needed. But we are talking about a special market in which we need to intervene, and not only to fix the problems that we are finding, but also to shape a new market with a social infrastructure that it's housing. And we have worked a lot during this year with mayors for housing. We are 70 cities now. We have drafted a plan. We have sent this plan to the Commission. We have defined the idea of stress market areas that it's working effectively in our countries to be the backbone of the European plan, because in the stress market areas that should be recognized as soon as possible, we need fast, agile, and effective action, and not only in 2 years, because if we know it's a problem, 2 years it's too much, as I said, not for the next MFF. We need urgent funds now, we need fresh money now, and we need this regulation to protect our tenants and to protect our citizens, which means to protect our democracy and the Europe we believe. But we haven't been only requesting things to the Commission. We have been offering our knowledge. We have been suggesting ideas. We have been sharing our experiences, and this is what our table is about. So I would ask Jordi Valls, Deputy Mayor for Housing and Finance of Barcelona, Tobia Zevi, Deputy Mayor of Housing on Rome, Fabio Bottero, Deputy Mayor of Housing on Milano, and Jena Reinette, Deputy Director of Housing of Paris, to take the floor and to start the conversation. Yeah, whatever you want. Jena, yeah, there. Okay, thank you. So let's keep suggesting and giving our ideas and experience to the Commission, to DAB, and so on. So let's start with the first question, because I think it's really important from our position as cities to bring our knowledge. It's the best ways to identify the challenges and the bottlenecks, and what are the benefits that we are having any different policies. So I would like to structure the panel in a way that I address a question, and you have 2.5 minutes, each of you. So you will have all the angles in the panel, and just being fast and concise, but the audience can get ideas and knowledge from all of you. First question, and we often say, and it was in the previous debate, that affordable housing and sustainability should go hand in hand. It's something important. I would like to know how are industrialization and modular systems contributing to the energy transition and promoting sustainability, and how it makes the difference between these innovative projects, modular projects, with the conventional industrialized projects are making the difference, and how is the time and cost shaped according to these different models. So Jordi, I would like to start with you, but we will change it. So.
Let me start with one question. For me, when we discuss innovation, I understand today in this meeting we discuss about innovation in the construction and modularization and industrialization. But for me, the one important question when we discuss about innovation in housing is the level of this discussion. It's not only construction, it's regulation. What kind of tenders the public sector have to put in place in order to incentivize industrialization. And this is innovation in the public sector, because this is not easy. Until now, in order to avoid some subjectivity in our decisions when we have a specific tender, normally we have the tyranny of the lowest cost. And the tyranny of the lowest cost create important problems. The first one, it's not necessary is innovation. The second one, it's not necessary, it's time savings, because time costs money. Innovation is important for the public sector in order to create a new tenders, in order to incentivize the sector. Second question for me is important. There are one discussion today here about what kind of innovation the public sector and all the sector, the stakeholders involved regarding the housing are to attract money, not only public money. We need a lot of public money, but public money is not enough in order to solve this question. How we are, with what kind of position the European Union and the city councils and the states are to try to attract money with limit profitability. For me, it's fantastic. Blackstone buy housing here in Barcelona. Normally, Blackstone buy housing, not build housing. We need people to build housing, not necessarily to buy housing. And for us, it's important what kind of innovation we are able to create, a specific confidence to attract pension funds with a limit of profitability. We need these people. The combination between public and private sector. And third question is industrialization in the construction. And for us, this is the last question I want to put on the table. If we agree we have to create 1 million housing in Europe, a lot of housing in Europe, in reality, we create a new sector. It's like when we discuss about the peace and security industrial sector in Europe. There are a lot of money right now. We create a new system, or we try to grow in a specific sector. In the construction sector, happen the same. And in that case, for me, it's important when a commission discusses about housing, discuss two things. Housing as a social necessity, but at the same time, housing to create a new industrial sector, a new important industrial sector. Just to put in consideration one question is, in 2008, in the financial crisis, not real estate crisis, financial crisis, the construction sector represents here in Spain 12%, a lot. After that, 2 or 3%. Today is 4%. Probably in the average in Europe is 6%, 7%. To create 1 or 2 or 3 points more in the GDP is a huge money. Is a huge to create a system. And for me, this is another innovation. When the European Union want to tackle the housing crisis, it's not question of a welfare state, and I agree with Irene about that. It's a question to create a new economical sector, taking in consideration the problems we have in the car makers. I don't know if you answered that question, but I think it's important to share.
You didn't answer the question, but you shed light on a lot of issues that are super important for our discussion. Tobia.
So thank you, Mar. Mar is the soul of our alliance, and she's pushing the bottom line always ahead. So today we have industrialization, which is very challenging for us. So in Rome, we own, as the municipality, around 25,000 social houses, public houses, which are social houses, so for the lowest level of, let's say, income people. And the regional agency owns around 45,000 new homes. Thanks to the European funds, especially the Next Generation EU funds, we were able to retrofit and renovate around 1,500 of these homes, so within the stock. And we had wonderful interventions in complicated neighborhood, both retrofitting, changing the social spaces and whatever. Now, if you think of the proportion between these numbers, huge effort for the administration and for all of us, and the goal we are actually facing, which is retrofitting and changing and renovating all of these homes, we realize that the challenge is huge, both in terms of effort, in terms of money, and in terms of, let's say, lateral thinking. So, according to the figures I studied, this challenge of industrialization and of innovation within the construction systems is absolutely fundamental. 3 figures: 50% time saving, 30% environmental cost saving, 20% money saving. If these figures are correct, or at least we are more or less correct, we are talking about a huge save of money. So it's not a choice. It's basically something we need to do. And in Rome, we are starting from zero, honestly. We don't have any experience in this field. So for us, it's really something we need to actually elaborate on and build together with the financial institutions, with other experiences, and of course, with other stakeholders all around. I would like to underline one thing which can seem abstract in a way, but in my opinion, it's important. If you remember, among the different streamlines of the past EU Commission, so the Next Generation EU Fund, the Green Deal, whatever, there was another plan which was quite, not so fortunate maybe, which was the new Bauhaus program. And this reference to Bauhaus, in my opinion, it is very, very clever within our discussion. Why? Because Bauhaus was an extraordinary tentative to put together quality and quantity, functions and architecture, beauty and social inclusiveness, and of course, by the time, modern solutions. And this is exactly the challenge we're facing, trying to put together all these different elements, which we are tended to face and to tackle separately, but at the end of the day, they're all part of the same challenge, which is this challenge of actually guaranteeing millions of people an adequate housing in Europe, and also, I would say, to save this European social model, which we are very proud of, but then we need to be consequent in our implementation.
Jena.
Yes.
Thanks, Tobia.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation. I'm not mayor, I'm not deputy mayor, but I would like to convey the support of Mayor Hidalgo and Deputy Mayor Bottero, who were unable to attend. I'm very honored. Industrialized construction and prefabrication is a big opportunity for us, facing the challenge of massive production of housing. Offset method allow to control the material use, to improve the energy performance and shorter construction timelines. All of this have been said, but I think the most important advantage is the reduction of nuisance, of on-site waste, and it's not a detail because in our cities we face lack of acceptability of new building, new construction, and being able to make big things in the city, preserving the environmental condition of the citizens, of the inhabitants, is very important. And it's not only about speed, it's not only about cost, it's about this, how we can integrate this project and how we can integrate circular economy principles, more economical, more ecological materials, transforming existing buildings. And this topic is very important for us in Paris because of the lack of available land. We have to transform what already exists in our big cities, our high-density cities. And I think industrialized method offers more than cost reduction, more than time reduction, offer the opportunity to make it easier to transform, make it easier to make roof extensions, and it's other ways to produce with innovative methods new housings. But unfortunately, and in the first one table it had been said that too, upfront investment are still very high for this innovation. They are high for developers, public developers, they are high for cities. We try to support them. So we need levers. We need levers from tenders, we need levers from fundings and grants, and we need levers in regulation and collaboration between the stakeholders.
Thank you, Gina. Fabio, go ahead.
Good morning, Mar. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I am also conveying greetings for Emmanuel Conte, the deputy mayor responsible for the extraordinary plan for affordable housing in Milan. Ensuring the availability of affordable housing is a key challenge for many European cities. The municipality of Milan is addressing this challenge through three main lines of action: making available disused or degraded municipal areas to be regenerated through the development of rental housing at 80 square meters per year as foreseen in the ongoing the extraordinary plan of for affordable housing. Second, by renovating vacant social housing for allocation to the poorest section of the population. And third, by possible purchasing of new properties for allocation and including privately ones to increase the available supply. The aim is to create inclusive, innovative, and sustainable housing, bringing new quality to already urbanized areas and existing buildings. The concept of affordability therefore goes hand in hand with the concept of sustainability, both environmental and social. In line with this principle, the adoption of industrialized and modular system can enable the development on construction sites with three things: short construction times, significant reduction in energy costs, and the possibility of changing the appearance of the area building and its impact on the neighborhood. The municipality of Milan is partner of a 3 years project funded by Fondazione Cariplo, a major Italian banking foundation, aimed to innovating the redevelopment and decarbonization strategies for building owned by the municipality of Milan. Thanks to the support of the social enterprise EDERA, we are researching how to promote rapid, zero energy and large-scale replicable building intervention containing costs through the industrialization of processes. The study focuses on two types of intervention: the extensive redevelopment of existing buildings through the strategic retrofit, and the creation of modular housing with temporary low environmental impact and circularity characteristics through tactical housing. These interventions have great potential and could play a key role in the implementation on the three main areas of intervention promoted by the municipality of Milan regarding affordable housing.
Thank you so much, Fabio. And in my initial intervention, I said that beyond fixing the market failure, we need to shape the market. We need to create this market. And in this role, we as public authorities, as public sector, are the ones that we can boost, create the conditions to boost this private sector, this innovative sector, because we need the private sector. Alone, we cannot do it. This is a big challenge. So here I would like to focus on the challenges that you think that we have as municipalities to promote this innovation. What do you think are the main bottlenecks that the construction sector has in order to develop this innovation, and how we as public authorities can boost this innovation, and also especially focus on, because this is an event co-organized with the AB, putting the focus also on the financial conditionalities or constraints that the private sector could have, and how we can address and help shaping this market that needs to be innovative for a lot of reasons. I would start with Fabio, and if you don't mind, so this is Jordi, so we can make it more.
Cities are experiencing a significant pressure due to the housing emergency, and contingent factors can hinder a broader vision that introduces elements of innovation. I believe it will be beneficial for the public administration to establish a permanent round table with the stakeholders and academia in the field of construction in order to devise viable strategies that respond to the demand for quality affordable housing. Certainly, reflection on the regulatory framework is necessary. The excessive length and the complexity of authorization processes and local building regulation can discourage the adoption of the new practices and the technologies, especially when they are not explicitly covered by the existing regulation. In addition, it would be useful to adopt evaluation criteria that take into account the management aspect and the impact of the intervention on the entire life cycle of the building. Locally, authorities alone struggle to act as catalysts and facilitators of innovation. Joint action is needed at multiple levels to set this specific objective and support it with resources. For example, it would be interesting to conduct a pilot experiment with a strong innovative footprint, both in terms of regulation and architecture, which could be sustained through dedicated resources of innovative financial schemes. We need concrete regulatory financing and enable measures to boost innovation in building sector. On this point, cities need more tools to face specific issues related to the urban environment. What we are experiencing in Milan is the difficulty to act on the housing sector since it is a responsibility for regions and the state. This is the most important. The extraordinary plan for affordable housing and the economic effort to renovate vacant dwellings are examples of the big effort made by Milan to tackle the housing issues. But we need external support and the specific tools for them to be sustainable on the long term. The focus on affordable housing initiative in context of housing pressure should be a priority at all governance level, both European, national, and the city level. Thank you.
Thanks, Fabio. Gina?
Yes, I would like to highlight on the obstacles of this development of industrialized methods, because then we can talk about the levels we might have cities. First obstacle is financial, upfront investment, because to develop construction capacity and certification, in the first one table it was talked about standardization. Yes, but we have to be careful, and it's our world city, because standardization in Paris is not the same in Copenhagen, it's not the same in Madrid or whatever. So yes, we need EU to help us in standardization, certification of methods, but we need to conserve local capacity to adapt it. Please, we have to make it simple. Fundings, grants, EIB projects are great, but our developers and our social housing providers tell us how it's difficult to have European funds when you have to go to this office, this office, this office. We have to organize something simple to make it possible. There are also, as far as industrial construction is concerned, there are also insurance issues that maybe European Union can help us to address around defining responsibilities in the chain between the production chain and the assembly chain as far as prefabrication and innovative methods are concerned. It's a very big issue because there is a risk that private sector doesn't want to take now, and we couldn't go to scale with this problem. But the main obstacle remains the lack of awareness for developers, project owners, because in France, for example, this approach is still associated with lower quality construction. And our role, levels that we can use as cities, I think there are 3 main levels, and I will give Paris example. Financial support. We have set up a model of governance based on a strong partnership between the city and the social housing providers. And on the side, we have very structured plans with phased objectives. And on the other hand, we have annual adaptable funding rules and a strong cooperation with the providers, the developers, to identify and disseminate best practices. Cities can also de-risking projects with guarantees, but they have to be helped for that. EU help would be key. Second level is regulation. In our bioclimatic urban plan, we try to fix standards higher beyond the current regulatory. And these rules applied for everyone, public but private developers, to raise the standards and incite the actors, because they are imposed to innovate, but we can also incite them with, for example, additional constructing rights in our documents. And the third but not least level is coordination. And we have a very good example of that in Paris. We've succeeded in develop the local ecosystem of circular economy on flat glass. Flat glass we have in every retrofitting project. We have to change windows. And we identify that with our social housing provider and create a partnership with private glass enterprises, big enterprises in France, to reuse them. It's one example of what cities can do in innovation, just putting together different stakeholders.
Thank you, Jena. Very insightful. Tobia.
I must say I agree very much with Jena. I believe there are 3 main chapters, let's say. The first one is what she called awareness. I would call it cultural, but it's more or less the same thing. We need to convince different layers of people of the importance of this transition. So first of all, we need to convince ourselves as public administrators. We need to change our procedures. Jordi was talking about the procurements, the idea that always like paying less is best, it's better, which is not the point. So we need to deeply change our way of working. Then we need to actually convince our supply chain, because of course it's difficult for firms and companies to deeply change and make a transition in their procedures and in a way of doing things. And then we also need to elaborate on what we really need in terms of new affordable houses, but also preserving the environment. This is something very complex. I was talking about our stock in Rome. We are buying a lot of new homes. We are make big investments without the government's support, by the way, to increase our stock of houses. But then we know that we will need to construct thousands of homes. And we say we don't want to consume soil, but then we need to construct many houses. We know that generation is, of course, a part of the solution, but we also know that this needs to be defined. So first chapter is cultural challenge. Then we have an economic challenge, of course, and this is very clear for everybody. I would just say that probably we should ask Mar in our negotiation with different European institutions probably to define, to establish lower rates for loans that has to do with innovation. This is something we can ask, in my opinion, because European institutions are very strict and sometimes also too strict in terms of financing. But of course, they understand the importance. This seminar is approved. So probably this could be a solution. Pricing, in a way, giving an award to those renovation interventions that are really innovative, that are really doing a difference in terms of saving, as we said before. And the third challenge is really I would say, boots on the ground challenge. So first of all, we have different kind of buildings, as probably Jen or someone else said before. So for example, in Rome, we have tens of buildings which were built, I would say, in the 60s and 70s, which are more or less similar. So in that case, it would be very, reasonable to develop and design modular systems, standardized systems that, in a way, can, be feasible for all of these buildings. But then we have very, very interesting interventions we are already doing in terms of regeneration and renovation of, for example, old schools, old military offices or premises. You probably visited some of them in Rome, other kind of buildings. And in that case, of course, it's more difficult to define standards. So probably we also need to, again, identify which are the best objectives and goals to be standardized and which don't. And the last point, going again in the third chapter, so the boots on the ground, the physical challenge, we need to explain people and also ourselves that if we manage to really develop a modular procedure in renovating and renewing buildings and premises, this means we are not moving people anymore, which is a huge thing, because in our experience, probably the most difficult thing when it goes to changing, an area is convincing people to move, then to go back, then sometimes to, rotate in order to live during the intervention. So this is something we can do if we explain people, okay, we are going to put this modular, pieces on your buildings, on your facades, and this will actually avoid you to move and have such a disease. Sorry for the if I was
thanks,
long.
Tobia, and thanks noted. We have the team that have written the plan here, so noted this idea of lower loans for innovation, and at the end, what we're suggesting with this identification of stress market areas is in these areas, agile and fast and better loans, and also that could be a way of granting and stimulating innovation, granting at some point when there's a high intensity of innovation. Jordi?
I agree with one word Jena's talk, make it simple. And normally it's not easy to make it simple things, more in the public sector. If we agree that housing is one of the most important matters the European Union have to tackle, and at the same time housing is one of the main challenges in order to reduce the CO2 emissions. There are two considerations. One is housing and the other environmental impact. We have involved in a lot of regulation. And we are involved with loans, grants, grants for the European Union, grants for the regional government, grants for state transfers between us. Each one of them has his specific regulation. And our position as the city councils or the cities in Europe want to invest into create and the building. And to create building, we need money. We need money in a different departments or the different states. It's important to try to have some specific coordination in this kind of regulation. This is really important because sometimes our problems is, okay, with this grant, sometimes create more problems than useful because the specific regulation is against to another question. For me, this is one of the specific things. Secondly, I agree with Fabio when I say the cultural question inside of our city council. How we are able to change our own proper own regulation. For example, one of the questions when we discussed in the past about the tenders in Barcelona City Council is the split between procurement and construction. In innovation, procurement and construction will be together. When we try to split, we have a specific value of procurement, and sometimes this value is different to the construction model. We have to change our tender in order to create more incentive to innovation. We have to work together in that two main concepts. And the other is, and this is not easy, is economies of scale. In Barcelona, we built 400 buildings or 400 flats regarding the modular industrialization. This is not enough in order to create economy of scale. We have to build and to have to do a specific tenders with more important scale. When we try to introduce a modular system in the buildings with 10 flats or 10 apartments, it's not enough. When we try to do it in the buildings 160, it's possible to do it. And the other question for me, it's more difficult, and probably Italy have more, or Roma have more experience than us, is renovation. Renovation and renovation, industrialization in renovation, it's not easy. In Rome, sure, it's not easy. In Milano and Paris, it's not easy because first, in order to take in consideration the architectonic value of the buildings, and at the same time, the problem, and specific, this problem is in when you have a community living inside, to put together this community in order to try to have a specific project, it's not easy. And this experience in Paris and probably Milano and Rome will be really useful for us in order to understand better how it's going on. And I try to how we change that, no? How we change the tenders. Today our tenders, we have 35% of value in design, 30% of value, 25% of value when we discuss about the carbon footprint, reduction in delivery 25%, and cost 9%. We try to change that, and finally, other technical aspects, 6%. In the past, the main concept, and this is not easy for us, because we have under surveillance of the other body regulators, and normally the objective is lowest cost. When we try to introduce another questions affected your subjectivity about that, creates some difficulties in our teams. And this is one question it's important to tackle in the future in order to make it easy, like Jena says before.
Thanks, Jordi, because I wanted to introduce public tenders. And because we are running out of time, I will merge a couple of questions here. The one of public tenders that Jordi respond related to Barcelona, how we can move beyond this tyranny of the lower cost that he was mentioning. And also how, in these public tenders, we can help in a way that this industrialization doesn't mean nasty things and nasty buildings. How we can make an opportunity, no? But it happens, is you know that this is public housing. So how we guarantee and we make possible to have beauty and uniqueness in the design with this standardization and modular approach and this local footprint that Jena was saying, and how we are using public tenders and how we are shaping public tenders to go beyond of this lower cost tyranny to move the market, to shape the market towards direction. Jordi, if you want to add something here, because also was the last question, and if not, Tobia.
Yeah.
No, again, I think we mentioned the main issues. The first one is we need to define features in our procurements as standards that are more ambitious and more forward-looking in a way. So we cannot just say, okay, it costs, 500,000 euros less today, and then do not take into consideration that this saving today will mean more environmental cost, probably more maintenance in the future, and in a way, less flexibility in our projects and design, which is another big challenge. So this is something we need to culturally elaborate on, culturally develop. It is very difficult, of course, because first of all, I mean, our functionaries are, first of all, overwhelmed with many things to do, and also terrified by tribunals and laws and procedures which are very strict and severe when it goes to public money, which is also correct. So it's something that probably Europe can be an important, let's say, an important reference for us, because if the framework is built at the European level, then also member states and regions and local authorities shall take into account. And then, again, I really appreciate your question, Mar. We need to explain people that that we truly want to improve their lives. This is something that it is very important. If we don't match the, let's say, construction environmental challenge with the idea that people will live better thanks to our interventions, and then that means public spaces and gardens and schools and whatever, we won't never win the challenge, because first of all, people won't move, as I said before, and second of all, they won't be our partner, they will be our enemies, which is something that makes the intervention much harder. So again, I think that the reference to the Bauhaus was a great idea of Ursula von der Leyen and the previous commission, but I think it is still actual, because again, taking together industrializations and bespoke, beauty and function, quantity and quality is exactly what we need. In my experience in Rome, we have huge, let's say, neighborhoods, public neighborhoods built in after the Second World War. Many people are very severe. They said they're all ugly. I don't agree with them. There were very important architects working on this kind of standardized building. We have a very famous building, which is the Corviale, which is 1 kilometer long building. It's called the Serpentona, the big snake in Rome. Of course, I mean, if you build a huge building of 1 kilometer and then elevators are not working, it's ugly to live there. It's not a matter of the architect, it's a matter of how you keep the elevator. So this is something we need to think about. I believe that we can, as it was in the past, build and design standardized solutions which are also beautiful, which are pleasant for people to live in, as it was in the past. And of course, we can build ugly solutions if we work badly. So this is really something that goes to the capacity, the ability of people working, administrators, designers, intellectuals, cultural, universities. They are part of, in our experience, universities are a key actor in all the renovations, and that's it, Jena.
Try to be quick. On the public tenders, the change of mindset need training, need skills, need formation. Our public tenders officers need to understand how to have a long-term approach and not only the immediate low-cost approach. Introducing quality criteria in our public tenders is not only for the project, it's for all that can develop in locally, skills locally, industry locally. What I said before on flat glass initiative in Paris, it's because we imposed in our public social housing providers and our own public tenders clauses, specific clauses for reuse of the glass. So we can go further than one operation in one public tender by introducing clauses and quality criteria. And we cities, but we public stakeholders, social housing providers, as long-term investors, we have the capacity of taking these risks. We have the capacity as counter-cyclical actors to, in a context of housing crisis, to be prescriptive in our tenders. So we must take this opportunity to change our mindset, but it changed industry mindset too when we fix the standards high. So let's fix the standards high.
Thanks, Gina. Fabio?
The issue of available resources is crucial. The establishment of funding access for innovation in construction processes will be fundamental for cities. More generally, a regulatory cultural shift is needed, introducing fundamental approaches of green public procurement and social procurement in public tenders, thus promoting sustainability and social impact on objectives. The do no significant harm principle on which the PNRR is based brings with it a series of consideration and sensitivities which, combined with the definition of ambitious objectives, like says before Tobia, on environmental sustainability, timing, site management methods, significant guide the development of projects. And I go, sorry, because I have to. Industrialization in renovation, it's possible. With regard to intervention on existing building, with the support of EDERA, an interesting analysis of our public housing stock has been carried out. This revealed that almost half of the approximately 28,000 public housing units owned by the municipality can be classified into 3 architectural types. There is therefore significant potential. Given the initial investment for a pilot project, there is a high degree of replicability that allows for a standardized intervention, introducing significant economies of scale across a large part of building stock. And finally, in the past, prefabricated construction offered a practical, rapid, and economical solution. But over time, it has often proved to be of poor architectural quality, and in some cases made from materials that deteriorated rapidly. Today, it's necessary to identify models of process industrialization that take a holistic view, encompassing issues relating to quality of life and living, environmental sustainability and sociality. I conclude. Also, a part of the Energy Strong Milano project, a short study by EDERA was conducted to understand if and how it was possible to bring architectural and social quality to populated complexes through industrialized development intervention. This approach is in line with the objectives of the new European Bauhaus, like say Tobia before. And thank you.
Thanks, Fabio. We are running out of time. I don't know. Can I open question? Because I will skip the last question. Can we open to the audience? So we open to the audience and then wrap up. Any questions? Couple. We collect the questions and then you respond, okay?
Thank you. Luisa Pinto, Barcelona Metropolitan Strategic Plan. I believe that we are all convinced that industrialized construction is a key, a crucial issue in the housing crisis we have. But however, in Barcelona, we often hear how the time for obtaining the permits for building permits is maybe 2 or 3 times longer than the time of the construction itself. So I would like to know if your cities are also facing this challenge, and how could we address this issue of time in the permits obtaining?
Another question, and then we respond.
This is just the problem of Barcelona. For us, it's very easy.
This is what not the elephant in the room, it's the lion on the room.
Exactly.
Another question? I have a couple. 1, 2 more, and we go to the panelists.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm Paula Fernando from Gini Finance. I would like to ask about the innovative procurement. You have been talking about what standards and clauses are you including in your procurement phases, but there are many inside tools that we already have there to innovate. There is this innovation procurement as competitive dialogue or partnerships. So I would like to know if you are using it, if you are aware of it, and if you think it is like a tool that we can use for this housing, affordability, and social that we are facing, and also to make innovation, because this is, I mean, these tools are for this. And also it permits to create new ecosystems, and yeah, and it's kind of the public are supporting all this from inside. Thank you.
Any other? The last one, eh?
Thank you. Francisco Rocha from a social developer. Mayors have control of one of the key costs to make affordable housing, which is land. How innovative models are being studied to create affordable land, to create affordable housing?
We have no time, so just we try to be concise, and anyone who wants to respond.
The first question, better ask to Milano, Roma, and Paris, because I agree with you. We spend too much time to have a license, sometimes more than the planification. And that happened because this is a consequence of the crisis of 2008. Right now, we are working with the same regulation set up in 2010, affected to the bank system, affected to the deficit and debt in the city councils and the administration, and even some specific regulation, more specific regulation in urban planning and in the license. But maybe ask to Paris and Secondly, I agree with about the procurement in terms to try to introduce more innovative dialogue, even dialogue with the partners, with operators. But for us, one of the questions to try to discuss is try to put together construction and procurement in order to evaluate the tenders, because sometimes it's difficult when we try to do industrialization. Sometimes have an important discussion. Regarding the land and the planification, I agree. One of the questions here in Barcelona is different to Rome. Rome have large square meters in the city. We have 100 square meters in Barcelona. In Rome, we have 1,000, more or less.
1,200.
Yeah. One of the questions right now are to discuss is how we are able to use some specific qualification regarding the equipment. No, it's not density. A specific land to schools, to universities, etc., to try to introduce more social housing, the possibility to do that. But cities like Barcelona in the future have to discuss an important question, and difficult to discuss when you have architects, you have landscapes, etc. No, the density. We have to discuss density and buildability. And this is not easy in the current regulation to try to find balance between green spaces, qualifications to schools, etc. But this is one of the questions you have to discuss cities like in Barcelona, because we don't have land. A little bit.
They are telling me to close, but I would like to, sorry, I'm a bit rebel, just to allow Rome, Paris, or Milano, if they want to adjust. One very concise.
Yeah, 3 flashes. So
they came to Barcelona. They need to.
The length of permission What I learned after 5 years of being a deputy mayor is it is better to tell the truth than to promise like short terms that do not happen. So in my opinion, it is not a matter of 2 years, 2 years and a half. Okay, it would be better to have, I don't know, 1 year, 1 year and a half. But if it's 2 years and a half, it's better to give certainty. So the issue is not, to really shorten the term of the permission. It is more to respect the terms you give. This is something which is very difficult, but this is decisive. Because if in a business plan, an operator say 3 years to get the permission, it's fine. I mean, then it's your business plan. Second point about the procurement, I'm very disappointed, I have to say, about this issue of the new innovative solutions, both dialogue and partnerships. In Italian experience, it is not working. This is something that go to the law. In the past 4 years, I've been deputy mayor. I think the laws has changed 3 times. The laws on public-private partnership. I truly believe this is the only solution. There is no other path to actually achieve. We cannot go back to the glorious 30s after Second World War when you had public money. But this is something that Europe and national government should work on to actually give us clear rules and clear tools, because otherwise this is not working. All the times, like functionaries are terrified and procedures are worse than if we do it on our own most of the time. And concerning the land, no, I don't concern the land. No land. In Rome, we have plenty of land, so come to Rome and invest.
Permit time in France, the law says you have 3 months to deliver the permit. It's not the administrative procedure, it's the litigation after you deliver the permit. It's very, very long, and I don't know how to deal with it. A second, procurement. What is sure is to introduce industrialized construction, we have to take it in the beginning of the procurement. So maybe, yes, competitive public partnership can help it develop. And land, there's no land in Paris, so we developed split ownership mechanism and long-term leasing. It is how we develop social housing now. Fabio?
About authorization and procurement, we need simplification. It's simple. I believe that this work that made together here and with our alliance and the dialogue with the stakeholders and other subjects is fundamental for give at EU and other institution our necessity.
Thanks. So I will just 30-second speech, just because I have to wrap up. So let me say, first, cultural change. It's very important to integrate innovation. It's also an economic and financial challenge. Second, this is a new market that we need to shape. And it's something that we haven't discussed, but it's important also for our citizens that we are talking also about creating jobs. With this, it's jobs and growth, which is also very important. Innovation as an opportunity, but we need a lot of levers to push it. We need to combine standardization with equality and singularity. And lastly, I would say, make it simple. Thank you so much.
Thank you.